Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the crew, do me a quick favor, hit both the like and the subscribe button as well as the bell icon on your way in. But if you're already a part of the crew, salute. But today we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 favorite budget devices from Samsung. So let's just jump right into it. Now the first device that we're actually going to be talking about is the Samsung Galaxy A02s. Now this device was released with 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage. You also do get other models with 3 gigabytes of RAM or 32 or 3 and 64, but this is the 4 with the 64. And this device was released pretty recently. It was released November 2020 with the 6.5 inch display, Snapdragon 450, 5000 milliamp hour battery. We also do get facial recognition on this guy with no fingerprint sensors, so just keep that in mind. We do get a 5 megapixel selfie, 13 megapixel in the back, as well as additional cameras that we'll get into in a little bit more detail. It was released with Android 10. However, this device did release Android 11 to it, which is pretty crazy. So the only thing it's missing is like screen recorder on here. It has most of the Android 11 features except for that screen recording feature. Now, as far as the display, it's pretty good. It's a 6.5 TFT LCD display, IPS, 20:9 aspect ratio, and what you're gonna notice is that it's pretty quick when it comes to the Snapdragon 450, and we'll get into that in just a second. But it does have a 720 by 1600 display, and it just looks really nice when you want to get into apps. You have that 270 pixels per inch on this guy as well. We also do get this diamond shaped pattern on it, which looks really good, and you can notice that it is not going to be any fingerprints. We're also getting a standard 10 watts fast charging brick with your headphones included in the bundle, so I definitely think that's pretty cool as well. We also do have a power button right here, volume rocker right above it on the right hand side. On the other side, we do have your SIM remover tool. With this price point, about $132, they're not going to give you expansion to the SD card for apps, but you can move pictures and you can move photos on this thing. And like I said, the facial recognition is on here, and it does work pretty quickly when you're trying to open up the device and everything like that. Now this device does not have the game launcher, so I just want to let you know that it doesn't have that game launcher on here. But as far as the graphics on this device, you can get some pretty decent graphics. You get smooth and up to high, but you only get the medium and balance. But I like to play on smooth and high anyway, frame rate. And then with the Snapdragon 450, it's going to be pretty decent as well. Alright guys, so this guy will have the Adreno 506. It will also have the Snapdragon 450 with the 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of internal memory. So like I said, you're gonna have that mono speaker, not dual speaker, but it does get pretty loud when it comes to gaming. And I definitely think it does get pretty loud, and you also do get pretty good frame rates on this thing for gaming. So you will be pleasantly surprised when you're using this thing. It also does have 15 watts fast charging, not 10 watts, I think I said. But it does have pretty good charging speeds at that 15 watts fast charging speed, and decent gaming on here when it comes to that 4 gigabytes as well. So I definitely think it does have a really good gaming performance. Now the next device we're going to talk about is the Samsung Galaxy A30. And this device is going to have that AMOLED display, Super AMOLED display, with a 6.4 inch Full HD Plus display. And we also do have that 50 watt charger as well as headphones inside of the deal. And they also do include a dual camera setup on here. So we do get the dual camera setup with the 16 megapixel on the front and rear, and a 2 megapixel for portraits. And on the the A02s, we also do get that 2 megapixel for portraits, but they do also include the macro camera on your A02s. On this guy, we do get Android 11 as well. It did get updated to Android 11, and I definitely think that's pretty cool as well. It also does have, like I said, that screen is going to be AMOLED, so it's going to be really nice As far as the build quality, we do have that power button and volume rocker set up with the, the SD card right here. And you can actually move apps to the SD card on this guy. It's a mid-range phone, so it does give you that ability. We also do have 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and it is powered with the Exynos 7904 as well. So it's going to be a really good phone. It does have Type-C for charging, headphone jack at the bottom, as well as a mono speaker on this guy, headphone at the microphone at the top, fingerprint sensor, as well as facial recognition on this thing as well. So I definitely think that's going to be pretty cool too. And when it comes to the display on this thing, it's a Super AMOLED 6.4 19 by 5.9 inch. And like I said, you're going to be able to mess around with the game launcher, so you have all your games inside of there as well. And you can just see that it has a pretty decent speed on here, 403 for the PPI, 1080 by 2340, full HD plus, water drop notch, Gorilla Glass, 3 on here. So it's definitely going to be pretty protected. You do want to put a case on here, but I just really enjoy this design. It's very thin, very sleek, and very nice phone to have. It does also have a really good processing speeds. We do have a gyroscope on this thing, as well as a compass, accelerometer, light sensor, proximity sensor, and fingerprint sensor as well. So the front camera is a 16 megapixel, and we also do have a rear 16 megapixel paired along with a 5 megapixel secondary camera. So I definitely think that it's compared to the A02s, you're gonna have that secondary 5 megapixel as opposed to the 2 megapixel on the A02s. Alright, so keep in mind with this guy, we are for the settings. When you go into there, you could see we do get HD on here and high frame rates on here. So that's crazy, right? So let's just jump into a game, because we are getting the ARM Mali G71 MP2 on this thing as well, coupled with the 4 gigabytes of RAM and the 64 gigabytes of internal storage. And we also are getting the the Exynos other processing chip with the 7904, like I said before. And it's going to be a 14 nanometer clocked in at 1.8 gigahertz as well. Let's go. So this is going to be pretty cool, because you can game on high frame rates on this thing, as opposed to the A02s. You can still game on high frame rates as well as that one, but this one gives you the high graphics frame rate as opposed to the low graphics frame rate. So I definitely think that's pretty cool. But the gameplay on here is going to be really smooth, right? It's going to be really powerful. It's going to be really solid overall. The screen is actually dimmed down right now. Let me just turn that up a little bit. I guess it has that adaptive screen on or something like that, but you can turn that off. And as far as the gameplay on here, it's nothing but amazing right now. It's absolutely cleaner than butter when it comes to the gameplay on here. But I still definitely like using the Samsung Galaxy A30. It's still pretty solid mid-range phone that you can pick up in 2021 right now. Now the next device that we're going to be talking about is the Samsung Galaxy A12, and this device does also come with that standard fast charging brick, and it does have that quad camera setup as well. What's really cool is Samsung designed this phone with a two-tone finish. On the top you get more of a texture feel, and then on the bottom you get a matte feel. So it's definitely pretty cool that you get both and to play around with. And you also do get the 6.5 HD plus display, and it's gonna have fingerprint, it's gonna have facial recognition, it's also gonna have Android 11, as well as the Helio P35 running the show on this guy. We also do have features like the Edge panel because of the One UI 3.1 that's on here as well. And we have some decent scrolling speeds. Dolby Atmos is on here when it comes to the headphones, and Bluetooth as well. So I definitely think that's pretty cool. You also do get a 48 megapixel and an 8 megapixel selfie on this guy. And we also do get a telephoto camera on this thing, which is pretty cool, as well as another one for, I believe, like macro or portraits. So they have a really cool camera setup on this thing, and you can get to your macro on here really easily. You also do get 6.5 TFT LCD display, and it's 19 by 5.9, 720 by 1560, 264 for the PPI on this thing. And I definitely like using this device, right? It has a really nice feel in the hand, definitely don't feel like you need a case on here. You get a headphone jack Type-C, mono speaker, and you get your microphone at the top and the dewdrop notch at the top of this guy. Now, unlike the A30, this one won't have a game launcher, so just keep that in mind. I don't have that game launcher on here like the A30 has it, and the A02s, the 02s doesn't have it either, so just keep that in mind as well. But we are getting a fingerprint proximity sensor, light sensor, and accelerometer on here only, but we do get the powered VRGE8320 and 4 gigabytes of RAM coupled with the 64 on this guy as well. And when it comes to the graphics on this thing, it comes to balance, but it doesn't go up to HD, so just keep that in mind. It won't go up to HD, so I'll probably just run it on the smooth and medium setting, but just keep that in mind. We are getting that MediaTek Helio P35 MT6765 with 14 nanometer clock speeds as well. But the thing about this chip is that it does have a clock speed of 2.3 gigahertz, which is actually really good compared to the 1.8 that we were getting on the Samsung Galaxy A30. So it's got a lot more push, but the A30 does have a lot better graphics and things of that nature. So if you want to game one here with the 4 gigabytes of RAM coupled with the 64, it's going to be a pretty smooth experience, right? You got the Helio P35 running the show, but it actually does perform up to par. I did notice that, and it was pretty smooth when I was overall just gaming, running through the environment here. So I definitely could say that it was pretty decent. Guys, so the next device we're going to be talking about is the Samsung Galaxy A32. This one does actually have the Infinity U display as well. It also does have a quad camera setup. We do have the headphone jack. Actually, we do have a headphone jack on here, Type-C for charging. And we also do get the brick right here for fast charging and Type-C for charging as well. This device also does have Android 11 Facial ID in-display fingerprint sensor on this one, which is a little bit slower than like the higher powered Samsung devices, but this is like a mid-range Samsung device, so it's actually got some decent speeds. It's got a 90 hertz refresh rate on it, which is actually pretty cool. That's the one thing I like about this device, is it does have a really smooth flow to it because of the high refresh rate on here that you're getting, and you can switch it to 60 if you do want to save battery. We also do get a 6.4 Full HD Plus G80 for the processing chip on here, Full HD. It does have a 20 megapixel selfie camera and a 64 megapixel on the rear, which is kind of cool. So they do give you a lot of cool features on here, and you can get macro on this guy, slow motion for the video. And as far as the cameras, they do go up to full HD 30 and full HD 30. So you're not getting that 60 frames per second like most mid-range phones would give you, but it does have some pretty decent features like stabilization mode when you're in the video, which is definitely pretty cool. And you also do have a nice variety of other features on here. It's 5,000 milliamp hour battery on this guy, and like I said, it's gonna have that AMOLED panel on this thing. And let's just take a look at the build quality, right? We are getting like a nice boxy look to this device. It does have that all white, that awesome white color with the plastic design on it. And it does have that, AMOLED display for 411 pixels per inch for the PPI. So I think that's really cool that this device will give you that. We also do have facial recognition, like I said before. And when it comes to the storage, it's 128 with 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now you might want to get the 6 or the 8 gigabyte RAM model because, for some reason this version that I have just has a little bit of lag to it. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, that it does kind of have a tiny bit of lag to it when it comes to the overall processing chip. But this device will give you game launcher. You can launch all your games and optimize the performance that you're getting on this device. And with that new G80 processing chip, Helio G80 with the 12 nanometers clocked in at 2 gigahertz, it's pretty decent. It's got the Armali G52 TEEMC2 on here, and then the 4 gigabytes of RAM. So we do get a gyroscope, we do get a geomagnetic sensor, as well as a Hall sensor, as well as accelerometer, light sensor, proximity sensor, and a fingerprint sensor on this guy as well. And for the cameras, we are getting a 64 megapixel, 8 megapixel, 5 megapixel, and a 5 megapixel for macro, and the other 5 is for the portraits. With 20 megapixel for the selfies on here, and this thing, like I said, will give you 15 watts fast charging, in-display fingerprint, like I said before, on this thing, and you know, pretty fast speeds when it comes to the charging. Decent overall performance, but the battery is pretty decent. Like I said, the battery is actually really good on this device, right? 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Cameras are pretty good. ROM is pretty good. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. You also do get that old school style U-notch on here, so I just kind of want to throw that out there. So when it comes to the graphics on this guy, you can get pretty decent gameplay on here. It actually goes up to ultra and balanced, but you also get high and HD just like the A30, but this one's going to give you that ultra frame rate. So they gave you a notch up when it came to the gameplay, as you can see right here. So with the MediaTek Helio G80, it's going to be a step up from the A30, the other one that they did updated to, and then they also doubled the storage on this guy compared to that one, and they also gave you that 64 megapixel and the 20 megapixel selfie camera. So it's going to be really good. It's going to be a grade up from that one. You can see that ultra smooth frame rate on this thing. It makes a difference when you're gaming. So that's going to be pretty cool, right? You're going to have that ultra frame rate on this thing. You're also going to have pretty decent speeds when it comes to the gaming. So the refresh rate on here is really good. So if you're moving around and just trying to game and shoot and, you know, kill enemies and things of that nature, it's going to be pretty good. It's definitely going to be pretty good. It's going to be nice and smooth. I feel like the frame rates on here are really smooth when it comes to gaming, and I could feel that when I'm turning every single time. I feel that it feels really smooth on here, right? So I could definitely feel that, and I definitely noticed the difference on this. Now this next device is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, right? And this is an older flagship phone, but it's definitely going to be in the budget price point right now. And what I like about it is it does have that wireless charging feature, right? So if you want to wirelessly charge this device, you can do so with the wireless charging. It does have that available, so it does let you wirelessly charge this device. I really think that's cool. I also think that this device has that waterproofing, dust-proof resistance, IP68 water resistancy, and an iris scanner. So when it just unlocked my face with my eyes, and you also do have that fingerprint sensor on the back. We also do have the Exynos 8895 version or the Snapdragon version as well. So there's two different versions depending on which one you pick. I actually have the Snapdragon 835 version on this thing, and the screen on here is absolutely crazy, right? It has the curved edges, 14 by 40, 2960, 18 by 9, Super AMOLED 6.3 inch, always on display, very high density with the 522 Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on here, as well as the Snapdragon 835 10 nanometer processing chip with the you do get the Adreno 450, 6 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage. Just everything in the kitchen sink has been put on this device as well. Now this thing does have a heart rate sensor on it, Hall sensor, does have a barometer, gyroscope, compass, accelerometer, fingerprint, proximity sensor, you know what I'm saying, iris sensor like I said before, and an LED light on here as well. And when it comes to the graphics on this guy, you do get, you know, as far as the speakers, you get a dual speaker. You also get that S Pen on here, right? Don't forget about the S Pen. And it does let you game in Ultra as well as HDR, right? So this is going to be pretty crazy because it's got that flagship specs for, you know, a budget price point right now based on the price that it's going for. You do get two 12.2 megapixels, the standard 12.2, and then the 12 megapixel telephoto records in 4K, and you get an 8 megapixel in the front as well. But I can't stress enough how good this device still is in 2021 right now, and it's going to be really good because you got that really good processing chip, the Snapdragon as well. You know, S Pen support on this guy, so you can get all your S Pen toggles on here as well. So I just think this is just going to be a really good deal in 2021. It's going to have an older software, but it's going to definitely outperform a lot of devices. And you can see we have that really smooth, ultra frame rate on this thing. Whenever any corner I turn is ultra smooth, right? There's no effort. You know, everything is just really, really smooth on here. So, like I said before, really good gameplay on this guy. So, you know, you're going to have a really good gameplay, good performance. Everything just runs really nice on this thing. But let me know which Samsung device you have or had or are looking to get or pick up. But I definitely think all of these devices are really good. Even that older Note 8 is a really good deal in 2021. But I'm going to get right back with you. I'm going to show up in the comment section. I'll check you guys later. Peace.